Merkle's a company that does three things really well. It understands big data, it understands CRM and how to develop customer insights, and then knows how to take that data and use it to really drive a great, compelling, and highly effective shopping experience for retailers. And that's what Merkle does. And Fifth Finger is the mobile division of Merkle, in effect, on that consumer experience layer of the business. More importantly, NARS. NARS Cosmetics is an amazing brand. It was founded in 1994 by Francois NARS, who is a French makeup artist and photographer. And it's really his vision for the brand is what it's about. And it began as 12 lipsticks, a series of lipsticks that were featured in Barney's. And it's evolved now and it's really well known for its edgy but sophisticated brand of cosmetics. And its connection to the world of fashion is the key thing. And it was acquired by Shiseido in 2000, so it's part of a much larger international organization now. And about a year or so ago, NARS were looking at their site stats, speaking to customers, looking at the industry, and seeing that there was really, as you guys all know, a big uptick in usage of phones and tablets, and so they felt like it was really important to address this and meet the expectations of customers and do something with mobile and tablet beyond their desktop sites. They had a desktop site, no mobile, no tablet. And so they kicked off a project to really address that, put together a mobile site, put together a tablet site, and do that. So this case study goes through that process. Their goal was very much just to roll out these two things. The first requirement they had in this exercise was satisfying SEO. They knew and they'd heard about the fact that different technologies and solution types for mobile could yield separate sites or single sites, and they didn't want to have their SEO efforts fragmented across different whole websites, like a mobile site, a tablet site, a desktop. So SEO integration was key. Also wanted to satisfy and fix the problem that a lot of retailers were having with deep linking and social links. So as you guys might know, you're on your phone, you hit a link on an email and it goes through to a desktop site experience. It's pretty cool, uncool. So I wanted to fix that and that cross-referencing, make that all work. And then also wanted to have the ability to really have a customized experience. So Jeanette wanted to have the phone be really specific to what the phone should be and have it really on brand, but yet have it highly functional. And thinking about the use case for the user on the go, the shopper on the go. And then lastly, they wanted to really get to market quickly. It's obviously critical for all of us nowadays with mobile growing so fast. Get to market quickly, but also have a site and a solution and a technology that was very maintainable, one which they could maintain without a huge amount of investment ongoing, and not end up with 2 or 3 different websites, which is obviously a headache to maintain. So that was their requirements. And they spoke to a number of different mobile partners out there, mobile vendors, and they came across two specific types of solution. One was a more siloed, standalone m.narscosmetics.com type of solution on the left there. And that was great for speed to market. You could give it to a vendor, they could run up a site and get it live done. And also gave the ability to do a really customized experience. You could create a completely new site and do whatever you wanted to do. And that would involve page parsing and the rest of it. The other types of solutions and offers and proposals they got were around responsive design, where folks would come in and say, hey, we can rebuild your entire e-commerce site responsively and make it all work across all devices and make it all great and sexy. But it's not quick to launch. To do that is a huge undertaking. It's not that customizable, but it does address these 3 needs around SEO and deep linking and so forth. So that was the trade-off. And then they came across Fifth Finger as one of the options in the mix. And our pitch, which was magical, of course, with all the ticks and all the boxes, but no, seriously, we have a technology which does and brings together the best of both those worlds. And I'll talk to you about that very quickly, just to share with you the difference here. So our solution takes the existing site and transforms it to work on tablet and phone, but with a single URL. So it's still one site, it's still one code base, and it's a bit hard to believe, but here's how it works. So we sit down with the client, we define how do we take the desktop site, how do we take the different content areas, the product features, checkout flow, and how do we manipulate that and reform that to fit on the different screen sizes. It's a one-off exercise. We then insert a single line of JavaScript code into your desktop site, and it's a bit like a Google Analytics tag, for example. that goes on the site. And then when the phone loads your particular site up, it loads a particular page on the phone or tablet, the device is now smart through the use of this technology and knows that it's on a different device screen size, and it will actually relay out the page responsively. Even if it's a legacy site that was built 10 years ago, it can do this. So it's really quite amazing to watch. And that's what we did with NARS. And so that was really the way we approached it. I won't go into super nerdy detail, but this is basically what happens. This is the rendering pipeline for the device, and it goes through all these steps to optimize the site and make it fast and make it super cool to render. So that's the technology. Enough about us. I wanted to share today some of the learnings that we've had through the process, and Jeanette will talk more about this as we sit down and jam. But let's talk about the project. So the outcome of the exercise was a mobile site, and grab your phone and pull it up and have a look at it. It's narscosmetics.com. And it's an amazing site. Like, I'm very biased, of course, but I think it's one of the best looking mobile sites in the market today. It's totally on brand. It's got use of lots of imagery, but yet it's still very quick. It's got amazing tactile navigation that really works well on the different devices. And when you scale it up to tablet, it's an amazing palette and device and environment to look at the NARS imagery and the products, and it's incredible. So. Amazing outcome visually and how it looks, but also technically and from a maintenance point of view, it's very, very, very scalable, easy to maintain. And from day one, this was maintained by the existing e-commerce team, not by us from day one, which is a great test on the fact that this is a real thing. But we had some challenges. We had a great launch, a great outcome, but through the project we had some challenges, and I thought it might be good to share those challenges with you guys, and we can all learn from that. So one of the first challenges was that NARS wanted to have NARS had a highly customized e-commerce platform with lots of different tweaks to it and configuration things that were potentially a challenge. So that was a risk up front that NARS told us and said, look guys, you can be careful, our site's pretty interesting. And we said, so let's get into that and let's try to de-risk the process by, we sat down with the e-commerce team and did a two-way briefing. We taught them about our technology and they did the reverse and how the site worked. And through that we worked out where some of the gotchas were going to be and preempted a lot of the risks that were in there. And we also integrated it into their source code repository very early on. So we were able to have our responsive JavaScript and library components working alongside what they had, so we didn't have any overlap there. And we also trained, as I said, trained their team to manage the site. So they managed the site from day one of launch themselves, which was great. The second challenge we had was that in the first month of the project, as we started to looking at mock-ups and experiencing like the different ways we could lay things out, Jeanette and the team decided, hey, we want to boost up what we're doing here in terms of make it more tailored, more customized, and a richer experience. And so we had to deal with that, and we also had to think about there was an idea of taking. If you look at a lot of brands now, the most valuable customers that you have typically over-index on mobile usage of your site. Like they're so engaged that they want to come to your site all the time and they'll use their phone to get there. So Jeanette wanted to offer those customers a different sort of offer, a different promotional offer than what you get on the desktop site. And so we had to provide functionality and work with the back-end guys to allow the CMS to provide different imagery and different offers for the different devices. That was also a requirement. So we had to do some stuff. We scaled up the project team and we just put more work into making that happen, but we're able to deliver on those extra requirements. The third challenge we had was that NARS have got very, very strict brand guidelines. All the creative has to get approved in France, and so it's really quite a process. And partway through we realised that we got the sense that we weren't really getting the level of buy-in and understanding of what these different design considerations were meaning. And so we went to the extra step of saying, let's actually put these designs on device and give them URLs they could go to look at it and give them really a very hands-on understanding of what does it look like in situ on the device that they can interact with. And that really helped the creative team get more engaged and say, actually, yeah, that on an actual phone in my hand, that logo doesn't look what it should look like. And so that really helped, I think, get through that creative process. So that's some of the challenges. I think we also had a few interesting considerations that came up that I think are worth sharing. One of those is looking at breakpoints. Who here has heard of the term breakpoints before with responsive design? So a few of you guys. Breakpoints are all about, with responsive, it chooses and knows which particular layout to give the user based on a screen width, a screen resolution width. So based on if it's really wide screen, it'll give you a desktop side. As the resolution goes down, it'll give you a tablet side. It goes down again, it gives you your phone side. But inside that, there's all these different subtleties of where you have different triggers. So you've got to choose like what are your breakpoints and where do you draw that. You could do like 10 different breakpoints and have a highly tweaked solution for every single possible screen size and for televisions and everything else. But you end up with having to maintain then these 10 different adaptions. So what we came up with basically choosing 3 breakpoints which would service 2 different core layouts, so the phone and the tablet, and then with 2 other alternate versions, which was basically the tablet in portrait and the phone in portrait. And that gave us really 2 core and 2 extras, so 4 altogether layouts to put together. And that worked out as a good balance for look and feel and flexibility and customization. But it's important to keep in mind with this that there'll always be some device. Like the chairman will come in with the latest new Galaxy Note or some new funky tablet, and he'll look at it in portrait mode on his tablet, and he might get the phone landscape version on his tablet, just because the resolution is the same. So there's edge cases where you go, okay, that's just the reality. It's the benefits of responsive is you can service every device, and there's never, but you'll get some interesting situations where you'll get different layouts. But if you keep that in mind when you're designing, and it's not a major problem. Other issue we found as well with some clients, with Joseph A. Bank, when we did their tablet experience responsively using this technology, one of the team members there on the decision-making team, or there's a UAT team, had a very low-res screen on his desktop. He had an 800 by 600 desktop screen at work, and so he was getting the tablet version on his desktop, which is pretty crazy. So we did a workaround on that, and that's a standard practice now. We put a check in there to say, if this is a desktop browser, just force the desktop version to the machine, and everything else we treat responsively. So that's just, or the desktop responsive breakpoint anyway. So 2 just tips there. And then another consideration we had was looking at promotional images. And we had, NARS obviously had the desktop site and the big hero promotional images. And if you put those on see over here on the left-hand side, if you put the desktop promo image on a phone, the fonts are unreadable. Like they're so small because it's just the way they do the awesome designs on the desktop. So we had to go through the process of saying, do we want to go and, does NARS want to have an extra step to create a secondary version of the promotional images for phone so we can make them readable? And they decided to do that. They would rather, the option was to scale up the fonts on the desktop site, and that's where the mobile first approach comes in. If you go mobile first, you'll go design fonts for phone, and then you'll scale it up to really big, huge fonts on the PC. And NARS didn't want that. That was too off-brand for them. So we ended up with their decision to go with 2 different promo images, and so that was fine. And it's just about making that call yourself about where you want to draw the line on your workflow, as well as how it looks at the end of the game. We also talked about gestures. A lot of folks talk about leveraging the touch gestures of these great devices on tablet and phone. And so that means pinch and zoom and swiping and all that great stuff. So how do you deal with that? And we actually tried quite hard. We have some in there, like with the carousel, it's nice and swipeable and different pieces, but we tried to force gestures in there a little bit too hard at some point during the process. We looked at, on the desktop, we have a rollover state, so you can roll over and you can get little extra text about the product. And on tablet, you don't have any rollover, it's just tap and go. It's there's no rollover event. So we explored different visual treatments for having a little arrow that would draw out and give you that as an indicator you could swipe to get that information, or a little eye icon to show you could tap that. And it really took away from just showing the hero being the product images and detracted from the products themselves. And so we just decided, look, let's let it go. Let's not force gestures in here just for the sake of it. Let's let it go and just go, well, if you want to find out about that product, just tap on it and look at the product details in the full view of the product. So that was just another learning for the process of not go overzealous on that gestures. And the last consideration we found was font size. Font size is somewhat obvious. Like, yeah, we're going to increase the font size for tablet because that's what you do. But we found that we just kept, after design iteration, we kept increasing the font size again and again and again to get to like the optimal font size. So one tip would be, take what you think the font size should be as an increase, and then double that font size, and then double that again. And that's probably about the right font size you want to get to on tablet, because it'll save yourself probably 3 or 4 revs on the design, so if you do it that way. So that was the process. We learnt lots, and I think NARS learnt lots in the process. And let's talk about results. Like, where's the money? And did it pay off? And so, firstly, timeline was great. We knocked it out in 14 weeks, and that included time over the holiday period where people were away and so forth. So that was pretty good. Pretty happy with that. And the proof's in the pudding here with conversions. So before we launched with the mobile version, we had just the PC site on the phone. So obviously pretty limited functionality. So we increased the checkout conversion rate by 54% for phones, which was huge, and somewhat expected. And on the tablet, we had quite a good bump, like 25% increase a quarter bump in conversion rate on the tablets as well through the responsification of the site, which is huge. So that made it all worthwhile from a financial point of view, let alone the increase in customer satisfaction and enjoyment of the site. So really great results. And in summary, we came to the party to help this happen, and we're really proud to be able to work with such a great brand like NARS. And I think the customization and speed to market are really what we bring to the table as Fistfinger. So, but that's enough about us. Let's get Jeanette to come up on stage, and I can quiz her on a few questions, and then I'll hand it to you guys to ask any questions that you have of this little experience. Okay, so when you were going through the process, what were you looking for in? And this is a bit. What did you look for in a partner, like choosing a partner? What were the key things you were looking for?
So we were definitely looking for a partner that had a flexible solution with reasonable costs. We wanted somebody who had expertise in this space. At the time that we were launching this project, we had extremely limited bandwidth on our own internal teams, so we needed a partner that was great at project management because we needed to lean on them, as well as they were able to deliver a quality solution, so there wasn't going to be a lot of back and forth with a buggy solution.
Nice, okay. And how did you find the process of taking the site responsive? Were there any unexpected things that came up that you weren't?
So I think that probably the most unexpected, I mean, in general it wasn't unexpected, but there's so many new devices launching every day, different sizes.
Yeah.
And when we kicked off the project, like for instance, we weren't expecting iPad mini. So where you were talking about breakpoints, that became a conversation for us, and it was great to be able to have a partner that could clearly explain what it was that we needed to make a decision about so that we could move forward quickly. But yeah.
The mini, that was fun. And through the process, did you have to make any changes to your internal workflow or processes to cater for this new approach with responsive?
Slightly. As you mentioned in your presentation, we have some self-imposed creative constraints. We are a luxury beauty brand, so when we met with the creative team to discuss scaling up a mobile homepage image to the desktop, it just really wasn't an option for us. So we made the decision that we were going to do unique assets for mobile versus desktop. So that did increase our workflow. Like obviously our creative team now has to do more than one, but they're fine with it. The other piece of it was, before we really only QA'd on desktop across multiple browsers, and now we're QAing across mobile devices, in addition to multiple browsers. So it's something you have to take into consideration when you're launching mobile, regardless of the solution.
Yeah. My wife tried to offer to help with QA, but I was
she wanted to be paid in product.
I was too worried she'd spend too much money on there. She's a big fan. Cool. So, how did we do? Like as a partner, as someone to work with, how did we do? Like how was us? How did we perform?
So we had a great experience with you guys. I know I've said this to you and to the team. We really just needed to lean on you guys a lot throughout this from a project management standpoint, and you guys were great. The project completed much quicker than we thought. We just never thought we were going to make that launch date when you first put it on paper, but we did. And the problem solving throughout the various different challenges was, above and beyond. So we were quite pleased.
That's a relief. Okay, good. So, looking more broadly, looking at the future, like how do you see the omni-channel, multi-device world that we're going into now? How does that fit into the long-term vision of NARS and Shiseido, and how does that? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah. So for us, mobile commerce really launched out of our e-commerce team, and there are many things that we need to consider from an omni-channel standpoint. However, we do have a bit of channel conflict because we sell into retailers as the core of our business. So we're essentially competing with them in the same space. So omni-channel is a little difficult for us. NARS, we do have some boutiques. We have 2 today, launching more. So, it will be something we need to really think about and put some strategies behind. But for now, it launched out of a need from the e-commerce team to have mobile commerce, and so much traffic is now just coming to our site from mobile devices.
Yeah. It's crazy. Okay. And lastly, before we hand it over to the audience to ask questions, what advice would you have to other VPs of e-commerce out there in terms of if they're going to go down this path of responsive?
So, for us, in my past life, I joined Shiseido in July, so I haven't been there all that long, but I've researched many different solutions, and this really was the one that fitted the entire bill for us. So it was flexible, low cost, we could customize things that we wanted to, and that's what was really important. But the critical thing that I would say is, if you don't have a mobile site, don't wait. It's already the amount of traffic that's coming and the results that we're seeing, there's so much cannibalization happening with tablet in particular from your desktop site. So it's launch. Unless you're a competitor, then just hold off.
Nice. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So opening up to the floor, any questions from the audience to Jeanette about the process or challenges or anything at all? Open time.
How did you make the decision to go with responsive versus an MDOT site?
So, we did look into it, and we just, because of our limited teams and our structure, we just couldn't maintain 3 different sites. So we really needed it to be one site that we drove from the single CMS, as well as from a cost standpoint for anything that we wanted to do custom. It just made more sense to do responsive.
If you were unable to maybe work with somebody as fantastic as Fifth Finger, and you were maybe a smaller company, but the mobile part was very important to you based upon the data that you saw, what would you do to make headway into optimizing that particular device or devices on mobile without necessarily going full Monty into it and maybe even breaking the bank?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're not able financially to launch mobile in any way, shape, or form, I think you just have to be very conscious of what you're doing on your desktop site, and you have to keep in mind that there's no rollover. So you just, you have to alter your desktop site.
Hi. How long did it take to launch?
It was 14 weeks. Yeah. And it was over the holiday, Christmas holiday, so probably could have been 10.
Which type of features do you think that your mobile users are most responsive to over a desktop?
I think that what was important for us, what we took into consideration, was just the different screen sizes and how we could deliver that information without too much noise in the way. So we really cleaned it up, but kept our branding and our image so that they didn't feel like they were on somebody else's site, just representing the NARS, selling the NARS brand. So I think that it was important for us to maintain that brand image at the same time as being able to make it easier for them to navigate and shop or just explore the products.
Do you have the ability to make like mobile-specific content, like a landing page for an SEM campaign, or is that you just create it for the desktop site, flows through?
We could do either. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
How was the transition, if there was one, from your fifth finger to NARS from a support perspective?
So it's been pretty seamless. We launched on January 11th, and we've handed it over to our platform provider for go-forward maintenance, and it's been fine so far. No issues.
Any other questions? Is it integrated into your platform? Is that how you, into the CMS,
Yep.
common platform?
Yep. So we manage it through our own CMS.
Okay.
Yep.
It's all hosted on the current site. So there's no third party. There's no hosting by us.
Have you noticed any difference in site speed performance?
In the sense of it being any slower, no. Our existing desktop has little laggy issues, but there's no difference that we've noticed.
Any other questions?
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.